And today I'm going to talk about something which blurs the lines between being rational and emotional. But first I'd like to try to connect with all of you via a common experience, which if you don't do, you die. But you don't think about it either.
Breathing.
Exactly.
Water.
So I refer to that thing which makes you breathe as the subconscious mind or the Copilot. Yeah, the Copilot. So I got really interested in studying about this Copilot when I had almost supernatural experience. And before I say what it is, I'll give you a bit of an origin story. So I grew up as a single child, and there are social studies indicating that people like me often have problems forming bonds with people. And this was true for me. And even more so because I'm a software engineer. Right? We even get into this career because we like playing video games and we don't really want to talk to people or afraid of talking to people. And as you can see, I was that kid. It's like the jigsaw piece that doesn't fit in any puzzle. I just wanted to take my bag and go home. But the thing that gave me happiness was not a human being, as you can see in the middle. It's like a pet dog for me. There was also a phase I got really interested in listening to music 24/7 till 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And I was fascinated by how singer-songwriters back into Nirvana MTV days, they would take emotions and events of people and somehow create this beautiful piece of art. And I was going beyond your evolutionary purpose. And for an analytical person, that seemed like the most rational way to process something that doesn't make sense. So I thought, yes, I'd like to do something like this one day. I had low social intelligence and emotional intelligence. Growing up, I didn't really have any friends. I had a lot of imaginary friends, and people would just see me talking to myself. I didn't even realize I was doing it. But anyway, I picked up the guitar. I learned a few basic chords, and I said, okay, I'm going to say some rubbish, and that'll be my song. So this is a small excerpt from a small song I wrote. She's just like my favorite ramen. When you take a sip, she feels warm among the cold breeze. Whew. I was amazed and scared. Amazed because it was too much of a coincidence to be rubbish. It made too much sense. At the same time, it didn't make any sense because I was afraid to talk to people, let alone women. I wasn't talking to any women, so I don't know what this magical feminine figure in my song was. But it all made sense 3 months later on Christmas Day. So me and my childhood friends have a tradition where we go to the rooftop, bonfire, Christmas music, and we drink rum. So when I had a sip of that rum and I experienced the warmth of the fire, it made sense. She's just like my favorite rum. When you take a sip, she feels warm. So that feminine figure in my song was the warmth I felt around my friends and the bonfire. So I was like, so how can I take control of this? How can I consciously make this happen? So I started studying psychology and came across a term called metacognition. So metacognition is the process of thinking about one's thinking or seeing yourself from a third person's point of view. Practical way to apply this, start journaling or explain your thoughts to a friend or vent, simply. So when you journal or talk to someone, you'll see that you'll have these random aha moments and things just come to you. So that's your subconscious brain working in the process. So that's how you can consciously take control of your subconscious mind. And that's when my talking to myself problem reduced. But it still happens to this day. Then fast forward a few years later, I moved to New Zealand for college. And again on Christmas Day, I had another revelation. This just flowed out of me. The Christmas lights look lovely, but not as lovely as you. Reindeers and Santa Claus are swimming in the pool. New Zealand sun before the snow of the world. Cold lonely roads but warm couples on a stroll. Jingling bells on the way home. What's going on? I've never been alone for so long. Baby, what love teaches, I'll burn before the warmth reaches. So I bury myself in the cold snow. What's going on? So I was like, what's going on? So what was going on was these lyrics. Maybe what love teaches, I'll burn before the warmth reaches. So I bury myself in the cold snow. So it made sense. I was actually not letting people into my life. I was like practicing detachment. So I started studying philosophy, going to the Bhagavad Gita, came across and Stoic philosophy, came across this term called non-attachment. We experience everything, feel everything, but you're not attached to it. Still a work in progress, but I decided from now on I'm going to truly live and experience whatever is out there. But being an analytical person, I don't want to give in to something that's not rational. So I wanted a scientific explanation of emotions. Came across this YouTube channel called Dr. Andrew Huberman, trending neuroscientist. So according to me, emotions are nothing but a ratio of change in chemicals in your brain when you interact with the environment. Brutal way to put it, but it's nothing more than that for me. Now, two important chemicals for social bonding or for forming bonds. The first one, the most important I think, is dopamine, which is the pain and pleasure chemical, or the chemical which makes you go and seek things. So Dr. Andrew Huberman, he discusses research where he explains introversion and extroversion and the role of dopamine in it. For the introverts in this room, when you go and have social interactions, you have a point where you need to go and recharge, want some alone time. So what's happening in your brain is you have a baseline of dopamine. When you have social interactions, it goes up really, really quickly, and then you have a crash. So when that dopamine level crashes, that's when you have a low motivation period, and you don't want to go out. For extroverts, it's a bit different. It goes up extremely slowly. So extroverts feel they're gaining energy. So with this knowledge, you guys can probably engineer the social interactions in your life and see how much of it is healthy for you, or if you want to increase or decrease it, or build a tolerance towards it. The second chemical is oxytocin, the love chemical, or the social bonding chemical. I think these days I was at a session with a monk. He said you can buy oxytocin sprays. So if you're in a long-term relationship, partner's nagging this. But Andrew Huberman discusses research where you physical touch, sharing common emotional experience with someone, intellectual connection, as well as people you don't know. You can actually have oxytocin release with people you don't know. The concert effect. So when you go to a concert, think about what happens. You have your favorite artist, and in that moment, when he's singing, all of the people, strangers around you, are in that same emotional state. So Huberman discusses research where your heart rate and breath is actually synced with oxytocin release. And that could very well be happening now. When I sing my songs, if anyone is really into it, our heart rates and breath could have been synced. That's a possibility. So I finally get those people who say we're one with the universe and mankind. In a way, it's possible. So these were my life experiences and learnings I found. So I'm going to give away tools which people can practically apply in their lives to solve their own problems. So number one, metacognition. Write down the problems in your life, possible solutions to them, or just vent. You'll see you'll have these random aha moments, and you'll see certain behavior patterns inside of you. Then study a bit of neuroscience, or you could go to Dr. Andrew Huberman's channel. He actually gives out tool sets which you can plug and play, use to influence the chemicals in your brain. And he also explains how our behavior patterns relate to those chemicals. So with that knowledge, you could probably change the wiring in your brain and solve the problems in your life. Thank you.